Well, hello, hello. How you doing? You guys doing okay today? This is so cool. I love this. So we're here in broad daylight. We got all kinds of great stars here. How about the guest lineup? This is wonderful. It just kept growing and growing, and so usually a smaller show, but this is great. My name is Paul Southland. I'm here to moderate this panel, and we're in strange times right now with the actor strike and everything going on. And normally we would take questions from the audience, but right now there's only certain things we can talk about. So I have a list of fun questions. We're just going to run through, and it's going to be different, but it's going to be fun. It's not going to be like anything before or after. So let's do it. You guys came here to see an incredible talent. Season 2 of Boss Legacy just dropped last night on Amazon. So give it up. Titus Welliver, everybody. Philly native. New York native. Oh, he's taking from the other side. All right.
Hey, what's happening?
Man, so yeah, I can mention it, but you can't. So we're very happy to get another season of Bosch. You guys big fans? Yeah. I think I can say that, right?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good show.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But thank you for your patronage.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
we're so happy to have you out here. I mean, how fun is it to just get loved on all weekend and just, because you have you do your thing, you live in your own kind of box, and then all of a sudden you get to meet the people that actually watch it and really care. It's a cool thing.
I should videotape this and send it to my kids. It's like somebody really likes me out there. No, it's great to be here. I love Dallas. It's been a while. I've worked here several times, way back in early on in my career. It's always people are always really warm and welcoming. So it's nice to be back here.
So even with a cool show and being in movies and all that stuff, can you ever be the cool dad?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Never.
No, I think my kids, they're all actors too, so they sort of appreciate. When they were little, they didn't really like it very much, particularly if it was like TMZ or somebody like that, and saying stupid things. But I think they dig it more than anything with these things. They get to meet other actors, so they're always excited. I'm just dad. If they were here, they'd be flipping out that Paul Bettany and Andy Serkis and all these people are here. They literally, when I told them, they were like, "Oh my God, you gotta really, will you get a picture?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get you a picture." And I'm that guy too. I go to cons. I've been going to cons for years, long before I ever participated in them, because I would go and buy comic books and toys, and I have my own little stack of autographed pictures of actors and wrestlers and people whose work I enjoy. So I'm almost like my own target audience, right? I go to these things too. People are like, "Where's your table?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just here. I'm here. I'm going to go over there and get Hellraiser's picture." So
That's so cool to know though. Like, who were some of the favorite people that you met when you were a kid, like going to these things?
I'm trying to think. Well, a lot of horror, different iterations of Michael Myers. I've met a lot of the actors that have played the Shape over the years. I met Robert Englund many years ago. Not at a con. We were both staying at the same hotel. We were working on something in Canada, not in the same thing, but I met him in the lobby, and he was a fan of a show that I participated in, and so he came over and was like, "Hey, I love that." Then I lost my mind. I was like, "Oh shit, you're Robert Englund, man." And he was like, "Yeah, but I don't want to talk about you." And I was like, "No, I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about you." Trying to think. And then I have a lot of friends. Michael, I just went to a con in LA, and they had a bunch of the actors from Aliens, all of whom I know. They're all friends of mine. So there's like Michael Biehn is there, Mark Ralston, and Jeanette Goldstein. So I rock up and I'm like, "Hey guys." And they're like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing here?" I was like, "Oh no, I'm here with my sons. Let me pay for it." "You don't have to pay for a picture, dude. Let's just come back to the green room. We'll just." I go, no. It's, They got really sheepish about it. They didn't want to take my money, and we almost got into a fight. I was like, no, if you had a restaurant and I walked in, I wouldn't expect you to give me a free meal. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. I'd take a couple of free glasses of wine, but and then I met a bunch of the different actresses who had been in the Friday the 13th franchises. I lose my mind when I go to these things. And what's funny is that they, because I've achieved a modicum of success in this business, I'm always really touched when they're like, oh, wow. And I'm like, no, I'm here for you. And it's fun. Who else did we? Dee Wallace Stone, who's been in some of my favorite, everybody's favorite, The Howling and Cujo, and she's just a badass. So it's always, I went to a big one a couple of years ago, and they had half the cast of The Thing was there, the Carpenter Thing, and once again, they're all my friends. I know these guys. I came up out of the New York theater with a lot of them, and they're like, dude, what are you doing here? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna come to the panel discussion. Really? Yeah. And Keith David was like, Titus, man, really? Come on, man. But I had to go. I had to be there. So yeah, I was at a con in Houston, Comic Palooza. Mick Foley and Lita were there, and I lost my collective mind. I was like with Mick. I was like, do you mind if we take a picture? He's like, yeah, sure. Mick, by the way, if you ever meet him, he doesn't shake hands. He's an elbow guy or a fist bump guy. He's a total germaphobe. Just FYI. But I was like a 10-year-old, man. And they were like, who knew you were a wrestling nerd? I was like, oh, you don't know that half of it. So, yeah.
You ever get those cool full circle moments where your kids get to see like somebody well known recognize you? Like, oh, wow.
I have. Yeah, I've had a few of those. I took my kids years ago to one of the Avengers premieres. And so once again, most of them were my friends. There were a few there, people that I didn't know. I didn't know Scarlett Johansson. I didn't know Chris Hemsworth. But I know Robert Downey and Clark Gregg, and he was my roommate. We were in college, and they were just. And Sam Jackson I've known for 40 years. But they were literally like, Dad, you know Thor? I just met him. Can you introduce us? I said, I don't know. I don't really want to. So he's standing off to the side, and he kind of sees that I'm with my kids. Chris Hemsworth, the sweetest guy on the planet, literally comes over and he goes, hey, are these your kids? And I go, yeah. He's like, how you doing, guys? I won big time points on that night. And my sons are older now. They're 21 and 24, and those premieres for them, they lose their minds. They lose their minds because it's sweet, because we do all work in the same industry. It's not to say that I haven't encountered some people that haven't been as polite, and I'm fine if you want to be that way with me, but don't ever be rude to my children, because I'll turn into a different person. Might even turn into some black smoke and start making some noises. But yeah, that definitely, my daughter who's 17, she's just cool like a fan, and nothing, she's unflappable. And then some singer, Mac DeMarco, shouted out about one of the shows that I was on Twitter, and my daughter was literally, dude, have you been on Twitter today? I was like, I don't really go on Twitter all that much. And yeah, Mac DeMarco, he loves the show, blah, 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 blah. I said, I don't even know who that is. What? What do you mean? I said, I don't know, is he an actor? No, he's a musician. God, you were such a loser. And I'm like, well, play some of his music, listen to the music. I said, oh, he's really talented guy. You need to get on there, you need to follow him back, and you need to, I was like, really? Okay, all right. So I did it. She's on Twitter every day to see if he said anything. I'm like, I think that was a one-time thing. Don't spend so much time on Twitter, it's not good for you, it's really bad for your health. It's like vaping for your brain, right? Social media is the absolute worst. It is, I say it is the devil's tool. And yet we all sit there with our phones, like, oh wow, let me take a picture of my lunch, post it.
I love it. Well, it's like I said, it's an interesting time. There's only so many things to get discussed, but what's one thing I really love about your background is you come from a very arts-loving family who is very supportive of you, and now you get to do that for your family. It's kind of a neat thing that your parents give you all kinds of great wisdom and advice. Because some people's parents fight against them the whole way. You know?
Well, I think because my parents were both artists, and they were far from bohemian type people at all. I had a rarefied upbringing, but it was pretty normal. You know what I mean? I don't think I even really understood a lot of these people. They were just people, with the exception of like Ringo Starr, John, like the Beatles, who were good friends with my godfather. They were just people to me, and which anybody is, right? People are people, no matter what you do for a living. But it sort of demystified a lot of that idea for me as a kid, because I would interact with these people, in a social way, even though I was a little boy. I don't think it never, but I'm grateful for that. And my parents were very supportive. I originally studied to become a fine artist, to become a painter. And after a year of art school, it was pretty uneventful. I'd already kind of completed my training with my father as a young boy for almost 3 years. And I got to art school, and all I wanted to do was drink beer and go to parties and smoke pot and look at pretty girls. I didn't really think there was anything else I wanted to do. And I thought if I could make a career out of this would be great. But of course you can't. You think you can when you're a teenager, but then eventually, the clue phone starts ringing like, what are you gonna do with your life? Can't be living in the basement like a Brady kid. You're 20 years old. And that's one thing my parents were like, you can screw off all you want. You just need to have a full-time job to support your screwing mom. And so I was kind of disillusioned. It was sort of hard to stand in the shadow of, my father was an extremely successful and very well-known, accomplished artist. And it was difficult to not notice and feel heavily scrutinized by the professors because of who my father was. And I just thought, that's kind of a drag. Why can't I just, 'cause it's not like I was trying to reinterpret my father's work or anything. I mean, originally I wanted to be a comic book artist or be Frank Frazetta. I was like, like anything else, unless you were like Gil Kane or Neil Adams or one of the great artists, those guys, or Jack Kirby, if you're really prolific and you lock in, it's a tough business to make it going. But my father literally had one of those come to Jesus meetings where he sat me down in his studio and he said, okay, this is kind of, where the rubber hits the road. What do you want to do with your life? And I kind of said, I'm not entirely sure. And he said, okay, well, when you're not thinking about beer, smoking pot, and pretty girls, what do you think about? And I said, I think about acting. And he said, then that's what you should do. And I'd had some formal training, and had done a bunch of productions in high school. And so my father went, well, you need to move back to New York. And that's what I did. I moved back to New York and I started studying, and I had a fleet of, unpleasant and not very high paying jobs. And I sort of managed to cobble together enough money to pay my rent. And, a big splurge for me was like a third slice of pizza, you know what I mean? And that's back when draft beer was like 75 cents, right? And I would be like Tom Hanks in Big, eating that baby corn with a beer. I could make a beer last for like 2.5 hours. The lean times, but you know what? That's part of the whole humble journey, because if you make the really irresponsible choice to go into the arts, I always say, it's navigating a sea of heartbreak, but the truth of it is that it builds character. I mean, one should become an actor because they have to do that. I think any pursuit of the arts, musician, writer, whatever, you do it because you have to do it, because otherwise go do something else. Because it's inordinately difficult, and forget about the rejection aspect. I mean, that's hard on your ego and your self-esteem, but it's also how much you choose to empower people that are in these positions of giving you these jobs. You have to just kind of put your head down and go through it and try not to take too much of it on board, which is difficult, right? Because we're all pretty sensitive organisms by nature, right? To constantly have somebody say, you're not tall enough, you're not the right size, you weigh too little, you weigh too much, your hair's the wrong color, you're the wrong ethnicity or whatever, you just kind of go. That, if you push that into a place of becoming white noise, and all you can really do is go in there and do your best, and then you have to leave the room. And the notion that people, and some people do, become actors or whatever because they want to be famous, and I'm like, it's pretty empty, it's kind of vapid, and I would say 99% of the people that I've encountered that work in this very irresponsible industry are people who work very, very hard and have, and that's why this business that we're dealing with right now, the strike, is really all about what's fair and equitable, and it's not the idea that I think many people have this grand misconception that everyone in Hollywood has millions and millions of dollars, and it's not. That's just not the fact. Out of 170,000 guild members, less than 1% of our guild actually make a living. And when I say make a living, maybe make just enough to qualify for health insurance. So it's not all sunglasses and swimming pools. But I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Yeah, how many of you are aspiring actors or want to go into the arts? Show of hands, anybody want to be an actor?
Good.
Crazy enough to do it? Yeah, okay, a couple of people. But like you said, us creative types are hard on ourselves. So what is that you keep in mind that kind of, when these things happen? Because you're right, it's just a flood of rejections no matter who you are, right?
Yeah, well, you just kind of, I think the hope always, in any circumstance, is that you're going to get better and you're going to learn as you go along. Because there are periods where it feels that it's just kind of steady, as it goes. But I think you have to focus also on what's important. Otherwise, it's really easy to devolve into kind of self-pity and entitlement and bad behavior. So it's just important to be grounded and focus on the stuff that is important, and those are your loved ones and your friendships. And then find something, in addition to that you enjoy doing. And I don't mean like necessarily a hobby. I mean, sure, it's fine. If stamp collecting keeps you from losing your mind, you should do that. But I think it's important to do other things. And that can even be something like, exercise or riding a bike or whatever, or drawing or painting or making music, or working on your house, mowing your lawn, making it look nice, It's sort of about, you have to kind of just look after yourself, and remember that it's, our bodies and our minds are kind of like sports cars. If you put shitty gas in your car, it's not going to drive well, right? It's the same thing with, you have to look after yourself.
So what was that movie or TV show that was kind of like the spark that made you think, maybe I do want to do this?
I grew up in a household, both my parents were cinephiles, so I spent a lot of time in movie theaters, going to film festivals, a lot. And my father he was kind of tight. He didn't let us watch a lot of television. We were allowed to kind of pick a couple of shows. Whereas at my mother's house, there's a whole different thing. My mother was all about, let's watch, you can watch this. So I grew up, thankfully in the 60s and the 70s when there was a lot of good television. And as I was bringing up my kids, and they were showing me some of the stuff that they were watching on like Nickelodeon, and I was like, this is crap. I'm sorry if I'm gonna offend any SpongeBob fans. But I was like, my sons were being dicks. And I was like, I don't know, the stuff would come out of their mouth, and I was like, what is that? Oh, it's from SpongeBob. I was like, I don't ever want you to watch that show again. That's obnoxious. They're like, what do we watch? So I made it my business to go out and find all the old Hanna-Barbera stuff. So my kids grew up watching Johnny Quest and Space Ghost and that stuff. And it's not wholesome. I mean, there's like a lot of blood and thunder. Johnny Quest is a really violent and, by today's standards, pretty xenophobic. Like all the villains have dark skin, or they're Asian, or they have indecipherable accents. But it's cool. They're good adventures. Like, you know, I remember when my older son was like, "I'm gonna be Johnny Quest for Halloween." I was like, "Yes, better than SpongeBob." Yeah. Yeah.
So here's an interesting one. It says, what was your most memorable audition?
Oh, okay.
I guess without mentioning something that could be strange.
What the rules are. Well, many years ago, I think this might have been my second audition. I went into, I had read for this small role and was put on tape. And then I was invited back a couple of weeks later to read for the director, who was Oliver Stone. So I come in, and it was a little scene for the film The Doors. And I come in, I meet him. I'm very excited, but I'm contained. I'm not like losing my mind. He's sitting behind a desk. He says, "I saw what you did on tape. Did a good job. I just want to do it again. So go ahead." So I'm there with the casting director, and I start to, just as I'm about to start to do the audition, he opens up the newspaper. He starts reading the newspaper. So I stop. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh no, I was doing the thing, but you're reading the paper." And he goes, "Yeah. Okay, start over again." So I get ready to start over again. He picks up the newspaper again. So I stop. He puts the paper down. He goes, "What are you doing?" And I don't want to say that I don't have Tourette's, but this was its own form of Tourette's for me. And I don't know what part of my lizard brain at that point, my primordial brain kicked in. But I said, "Well, if you're gonna read the fucking newspaper, it's kind of a waste of your time, kind of a waste of my time, don't you think?" And as it was coming out of my mouth, I was trying to push that balloon back in, like, no. You know, you're not on the street right now, New York boy. And he started to laugh. And he said, "Oh, you know what? You're right. Okay." And he folded the newspaper and he said, "Go." I did the audition. And he looked at me and he still had a big smile on his face. He said, "You got a lot of balls." I said, "I'm sorry for that." And he went, "No, don't be sorry." He's like, "You want to play this part?" I said, "Very much so." He said, "Okay, you're the guy." "Really?" And he went, "Yeah." And so when I got on set with him, he was really cool to me. I did JFK with him as well. I had to get cut out of that because it was massive pending lawsuits for so many of the actors that were playing characters with no public record of the things they said. And so you just set yourself up for a myriad of defamation lawsuits. But it was in that moment, that was by far one of the more interesting things. And needless to say, in the future, when there were challenges before me, I chose my words a little bit more gingerly than that. But yeah, that was and I'm sure if Oliver was here, he'd probably go, "Yeah, I guess that did happen. Yeah." He wouldn't want people to know that, but he was actually very kind to me. And I think in some way, just by standing my ground inadvertently, I suppose it made a difference. And I got the part, right?
That's so cool. I love that. Well, speaking of good stories, so I know you're a Philly guy, but I co-host a show with one of our great Dallas Cowboys, Drew Pearson, caught the Hail Mary. And so regardless of what side you're on, we love to ask people their Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it. It worked out for you. I'm so curious to know what that was for you after hearing that one.
I'll be honest with you, and this may sound contrived. I think every time I get a job of some kind, it's a Hail Mary moment. just because I'm so eternally grateful that I get to do something and make a decent living of something that I love to do. So that it's, and a lot of it can be drudgery. I mean, the hours are long. I know people think that it's, but I don't have an on-call masseuse and a chef in my trailer. I go to work, I get up to go to work at 3 o'clock in the morning. I go to work, everybody in my house is asleep. I come home from work and everybody in my house is asleep. But I genuinely can't wait to get to work because I love the people that I work with and I love what I do. I love to act, I love my work so much. I'm my own biggest fan. But that's really the Hail Mary when you get that call, or certainly, and it doesn't happen all that often where you're sitting in the room and they go, well, this is great, let's do this. It is the gift that keeps on giving, because there are way too many times where it's the opposite, where you go in and you work so hard on something and you feel really positive about it, and you leave and they go, no, it's not, you didn't get it. And early on you go, why? What could I have done differently? And it's and then you realize it really ultimately doesn't always have anything to do with you. They want the person to walk through the door just because it's a lot easier. But it's fun, and so that's my Hail Mary. Yeah.
That's cool. Is there something that's happened though that kind of, a lot of people would love to get to the point where they have their own show, or the head of it is there kind of something that you saw, like maybe Amazon presented you or something that's just around that you're just like, oh, that's cool, yeah, I did it, or you see a billboard, or what was the kind of thing where like, all right, look at that.
Well, I have to say, when the first billboards came out for a particular show, and I happened to be in Times Square back home in New York, and there was literally, my face was plastered, and it was about 5 stories high, and it was exhilarating and terrifying all at the same time. And the reason it was terrifying is I was petrified that somebody would see me looking at an image of myself on the side of a building and think, what a dick. What an egomaniacal narcissist. Look at this guy. He's gonna take a selfie. Look at that, watch. And I was literally looking around.
Did you
kind of
do it?
No, I didn't. I ran. I ran. As I was going away, these 2 New York cops were like, what are you doing? Hey, you want to take a picture with me? And I was like, no, I gotta get out of here. And they were like, did you take a picture? And I go, no, I didn't take a picture. And they thought it was so strange. Why wouldn't you take a picture? And I said, I just feel like an idiot. They're like, why not? You work so hard. You work your whole life, and now you get this thing and you're just gonna. I go, yeah, I don't know. I gotta figure it out. And one of the cops looked at me and he goes, yeah, you better figure that out.
But what a cool moment though. I mean, just to see yourself on a billboard in Times Square, like, that's a kind of, you work your whole life and then you're like, oh wow, look at that.
Well, it's weird because you grow up, I grew up in New York, so, I used to always see those billboards for movies that I wanted to go and see. And I'm like, oh wow, Clint Eastwood. And I was always sort of taken, I thought those things were so cool, and I collect movie posters, and and it wasn't lost on me. It was exhilarating because it became a reality, because it all seemed, in that moment, that was very surreal. It's one thing because I never watch, for the most part, I don't really watch my own work. After I do it, I kind of, I go and I do my thing, and I'm like, well, I did it, so it's, that's done. I have to watch certain things because my family wants to, and they want to sit and do their own kind of watch party. And they get kind of irritated with me because I'm constantly getting up and leaving the room, and they're like, where are you going? Like, you want us to pause it? And I go, no, please don't pause it, it's okay. I've seen it, I'm good, I did it. I was there. You enjoying it? Yeah, that's all that matters, okay? We're good.
Isn't that a funny thing though? It's like, with the show that I'm on, I feel like, You know, have you ever watched that? I was like, no, why would I do
Yeah.
that? Like, I was there. Like, I'll just make fun of myself. It's bad for me, right?
Yeah, you don't want to. Well, that's the thing too, is because if you do that, you can scrutinize it to a point where you start second guessing, going, "Yeah, I should have probably done." See, I learned the lesson though, is to do. I'll never do anything that I don't want to go out into the universe. If it's something, if a take doesn't feel right, I'll stop. And I'll just say, you know, let's go back. We'll go back and start it. And do it again, and you know, and don't print it. So I kind of create a safety net for myself that way, so I don't end up seeing something, and God forbid, you know, being like, wow, how did that get out?
And another cool life check, Mark, I'm sure you grew up as a kid in the 70s with Star Wars, and just to be in that universe, that's got to be one of those things like, I did it, right?
Yeah, well, and I was older when Star Wars. I mean, I was like a junior in high school when Star Wars came out. I remember like my little brothers were into it. I was like, Star Wars, all this Star Wars talk. It's, you know, my friend said, "Have you seen this?" And it's like a kids movie. I don't want, you know, I thought it was too cool to see that. I don't want to see it. They were like, no, you have to see this movie. So I went, okay, sure, fine, whatever. So of course we smoked a bunch of pot. And the opening credits came on, and I was like, what is this? And liked it so much that when the lights came back up, we all laid down on the floor in between the seats. We sat and watched it 3 more times. We stayed in the theater. It was a matinee. They weren't even coming in and cleaning up, you know what I mean? There was barely anybody in the theater. And at that point, it had been out for a while. So it wasn't like, you know, we were fighting the mob lines. But yeah, that was a game changer. And then, you know, I think like, look, you're either a Star Wars person or you're not. And if you are, you're all in. And I was all in from that moment. That's why when I hear people going like, I don't know about this new show. Have you seen this, The Mandalorian? And they kind of grouse about it, and I'm like, it's fucking Star Wars. Are you kidding me? Yeah, but it doesn't tie in with the storyline and the canon and the brand and all that. It's Star Wars. I don't care if it's a puppet show. If it's a Star Wars puppet show, I'll be there. I don't care. I'm that guy.
And it's so cool too, because now being in that universe, I got an email saying, well, there's going to be a presentation now. And I just saw out of the corner of my eye a jaw walk by, and I go, oh, this is cool.
Yeah,
this is
I caught that.
It is.
Hey.
And so,
What's up, Utini?
they actually have a presentation for you. I was like, does he know about this? They're like, oh, there's no surprises.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, are these 501st people?
Yes, look at this.
Oh, big round of applause.
Hey, big
for the
round of
501st.
applause for these guys.
Yeah, I want to say, for those of you who don't know about the 501st, I have a lot of friends in the 501st. One of my producing partners is a longtime member of the 501st. 501st, they go to hospitals. They do a lot of really, really good things. And I'm, you know, I have to say I'm honored to be standing on the stage with these people. They go to the hospitals, children with terminal cancers. They do a lot of good. They bring a lot of joy where they go. I mean, imagine that you're, well, if they came to my house, I would lose my mind. But imagine that you're a child who is ill or someone who's on bad times, to see the 501st come down, stormtroopers with Vader and everything. It's a mind-blowing thing, and it brings incredible joy to people. And so again, give them a big round of applause.
All right, for your contribution for the role in the Star Wars universe, for the role as the Imperial Captain in The Mandalorian, we at the Kessel Base wish to induct you into the Rebel Legion, good guy side. Plaque for you, and along with that, a really snazzy name badge and some pretty cool swag from us.
Amazing.
Rebel Legion coin, and a Celebration Rebel Legion coin.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is, I know where this is going. This is going in that room where I'm always like, you can't go in that room. I'm the one that says it's my meditation chamber, right? This is an amazing honor, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.
Yeah. How cool is that? You know, one thing I really appreciate about his love for these conventions is that he used to go himself to these conventions, you know, he's talking about. So to see that, the genuine joy of him receiving this is such a cool thing, right? Yeah. I just love seeing a Jawa out of the corner of my eye too. Like, it just makes me happy. That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
I was saying the genuine joy and appreciation that you have for these conventions because you used to go yourself and now you're on this other side, which is amazing, right?
It's so cool. It's, yeah, a friend of mine came up to me, she's a producing partner, she's in the 501st in the LA. She's like, you know I'm in the 501st. I said, what's, because I was unaware. She started to tell me. And I went and looked on the Instagram and I started looking stuff up. And I saw, you know, them coming down the hallway in this hospital. There's like 40 stormtroopers and Darth Vader, music playing, and seeing the expression on these kids' faces. And it was, I'd be lying if I said I didn't make me cry. I was like, what a beautiful thing. To take something like cosplay to a whole different level of a kind of a humanitarian thing is, it's really, it's a beautiful thing. More people should do things like that. I think particularly, you know, given the division and all the stuff that you see going on in the world, every time you turn the television on, I can't even watch the news anymore, but this is good news. You know, so it's a real honor for me.
Oh, I love that. And so you said you know exactly where that's going. I got to know what else in that office is really cool because I have all kinds of treasures from these things.
Yeah, I've got lots of challenge coins from 501st challenge coins and from law enforcement, military units. I really treasure that stuff because those things mean a lot. Somebody takes the time to come out and give me that. And then I've got some pretty cool fan art. A dude did I have a Funko of the Man in Black, for, a character from a show. So this guy Kit Bash made a Funko for another show. And so I treasure that stuff. I have a bit too much of it, and I used to be a collector. I don't collect quite as much because quite honestly, I had a conversation with my wife where she was like, let's be a little bit more surgical about it. She's like, because otherwise, we did a house we used to live in, it kind of was like a museum. It was just filled with sideshow collectible stuff. It was just shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves. And I was cool with it, right? Because you could close the doors, you didn't have to see it. But even for me, it kind of got overwhelming. When I had to pack all my shit up to move to our home, and then I looked and I went, I've got way too much stuff. So I still have it. Most of it's in boxes in the basement of my house. But the stuff that I kind of have out, one particular thing, which is one of my favorites, is a Metacom made it. It's a statue about this big of the big chap alien, and it's made from it's a 3D rendering from the original suit that was worn by the actor who played the alien, and it's cool. It's a polyresin thing, and it's a real piece. And then I have a big bottle of wine that was given to me and signed by the entire Los Angeles Dodgers team. They had Michael Connolly and I. He's the creator of, I can say Harry Bosch because it's a book. He's obviously the creator, author of the Harry Bosch books. And he and I were invited to throw the opening pitch out at a Dodgers game. And they took a picture of both of us we kind of had our backs to the camera, but you could see we were wearing Dodgers jerseys, and mine had my name on it, his said Bosch on the back, and I had Sandy Koufax's number, because Sandy Koufax is one of my favorite ball players when I was a kid. Actually, my aunt dated him, if you can believe that. So when I was a little kid, we used to be like, and he did not like kids, which was really disheartening, because all my brother and I we just wanted to stare at him, and he was just like, these fucking kids are here to go play in traffic.
I love it. Well,
So that it's etched into the bottle. This photograph has been etched into this giant wine bottle. I'm sure the wine is terrible, and it's now probably 8 years old. So it's either, it's matured into really good vinegar, but either way, it's kind of a keepsake, and it's huge. So I have that with my Alien, and that's kind of it. The rest of it are just, my shelves are filled with Marvel and DC omnibuses. People are always looking for, Wuthering Heights and Moby Dick, and I'm like, yeah, that's in the other room. This room is nothing but comic books. That's the way I like it.
That's so cool. I love it. And of course, my meter may be off, but if you've got somebody made an action figure after you, I think you made it. You've done it.
I wouldn't hate that. Some people have kit bashed some stuff. I've seen some pretty cool figures that people have made of the character from that show.
Yes.
And some of them have been really, really good. The sideshow guys are always threatening that they're gonna actually do a 1/6 scale. A guy did one that was unbelievably good. I mean, and it's a 1/6 scale figure, so it's 12 inches tall, but all the tattoos were I wanted to buy it from the guy, just to have it. I would never display it. The guy was like, I will never sell this. So I was like, well, what can I do? He's like, you can sign the box for me. I was like, okay. Well, if you ever make another one, he was like, no, this is gonna be one of a kind. I was like, well, wait till somebody comes along and they mass produce this figure, then you're gonna feel pretty silly, aren't you? But yeah, that's kind of cool, those things.
I love it. Well, we are so happy to have you here with us today. It's been such a wonderful conversation, really cool stories, and next time we'll get questions from you guys. But feel free to go to the table, and when we're not in front of a microphone, I think we can probably ask whatever you want, right?
Yeah. That is fine.
About that show.
About that show. Yeah, it's like saying Voldemort. I'm like, it's so ridiculous. But look, all due respect, this is a fight that needs to be fought, and I'm just here to reassure everyone that this is not about greed on the Screen Actors Guild part or the Writers Guild or anything. It's about what's fair and equitable, and it's unfortunate that it has to take such public purview because people want to kind of second guess and Monday morning quarterback, and I just hope that there is some resolution soon because people are seriously hurting out there. Our crews, people are out of work and have been for 6 months, and it takes a toll on people. They're just trying to put food on the table, and so any rallies of support. It may seem like it doesn't make a difference, but when somebody who's not in this business voices a positive opinion on social media, it means something. People see it, and we care. And thank you all for your patronage, and the support, the dedication of because without you guys going to our movies and watching our shows and all those things, we would be doing puppet shows. So thank you, and thanks for coming out, and I hope you guys all have a good con. So
yeah, big round of applause. And also, while we've got you here, a nice little tradition we like to do is we'll turn around and take a selfie with the crowd. So if you guys want to all scoot in here real quick, we'll just do a big family photo, and we definitely need a Jawa in there, if that's okay. Yeah, come on.
Get in there.
Yes. All right, ready, guys? Get cozy. See if I can do the big long camera. Right, everybody, arms up. There's the Jawa. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. There you go. One more. All right. Thank you guys so much. Big round of applause. Thank you so much, Titus. Thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.